Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the greatest show in the galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And clearly, it's been a while since I've done this properly, so I kind of forgot my intro there. But the main reason why it's been so long is because I needed some time to schedule my great guest, which was already on the previous episode of this that I recorded from work. Say hello and welcome back to Mr. Ryan Payne. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing very good. I'll hold on before you reverse the polarity of your camera, just to let you know. Yeah, I'm good. That was a good episode that we had last time, and I look forward to seeing what we have in store today, honestly.
Yeah, me too, because for some reason the polarity still refuses to be reversed.
Okay. Well, let's not. Well, I couldn't pull out my screwdriver anyway. It would confuse the polarity.
Now, confusing the polarity works sometimes. Okay, I think this is the best we can do for now. It's hiding Sonic's face, but we'll live with that. Now, of course, as you probably know, the first thing we got to start off with is the birthday section. Now, I was actually surprised by the amount of people who had birthdays this week who are actually straight up tied to the topic we're about to talk. It's actually pretty interesting. Now, we are going to talk about from the 6th of February all the way to the 12th. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of people of color who had birthdays in this 1 week. Of course, there were non-people of color as well, but again, a lot of people very related to this topic, as we're just gonna see. So we're gonna start off with on the 8th, arguably one of the more important ones, for reasons you'll see why in just a minute. We have Miss Maureen Blackman. Does the name sound familiar to you?
Yes, she does. Yeah, the name is very familiar to me. I just can't right now, of course, at the moment pull up projects because I think when it comes with actors, like I'm good with faces. Sometimes I'm off with names, but yeah, she is very familiar.
She's not an actress, so I'm going to give you that hint.
Oh my god! There, see, now I just put my.
Oh, you froze. You froze for a second. Are you okay?
I've seen that name pull up on credits, but I'm like, that's me assuming she's an actress. Jesus. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, like I said, she's not an actress. She's a writer. She wrote one Doctor Who episode, and that episode was Rosa.
That's yes.
Okay. Rosa Parks episode, in my opinion, the best episode of the Jodie Whittaker era, and well, it has the awards to prove it. So
yeah. I guess why she was familiar because after our last episode, I was going over just looking at Jodie Whittaker because, as I mentioned, like her era just flew by me like in a blink. So I just looked at some of her episodes and I was going through the credits, like actors, people involved, and I was skimming down. I saw her name on the Rosa episode. I'm going, oh, where was she in the background? And I'm like, oh, maybe she played one of the figures for the civil rights movement under Rosa. And now that you clarified, yes, no, she was a writer.
Yep. Co-writer, but I mean, the episode works because of her. So that's something. Now, also on the 8th, Miss Trini Woodall. That's her name. No, Trini Woodall. So I'm guessing you're not familiar with this one, right?
No, I'm not.
Well, in Doctor Who, she played a robot version of herself named Trin E in the Bad Wolf episode on what became the game station previously, Satellite 5.
Oh, okay. In that future Earth, yeah.
Yeah. In reality, though, she's got her own show, or had. I don't know if she still has. She's got her own show with her partner in crime. The show's called Trini and Susanna.
Oh, wait, was it that one where Jack Harkness was being done?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's more or less what they do in the show in real life. They basically just clothe people.
Mm.
They pick random people off the streets and they give them a makeover. And the interesting, why do I know this? Because they actually for several years actually brought this show with those two same people to Israel, and they had the show from here
Okay.
for a couple of years, and that is how I know them. So yeah, every time there's a celebrity playing themselves in Doctor Who, I suppose I just gotta point it out. Now, here's the interesting bit. Do you know what her full name is?
No, if I didn't know who she was, and I don't know her full name.
Yeah, stupid question. Why did I even ask? Her name is Sarah Jane Duncanson Woodall.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, so we got last week we had the actual Sarah Jane. Now we have a different Sarah Jane.
Yes, we
Now,
do.
on the 9th of February, we have Mr. Sean Parks or Perks. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. Of course, you probably recognize it from the picture. He played Captain Zachary Cross Flame in the episode The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. But the reason I have him on here is because he actually came back and reprised the role on Big Finish. In the
he did?
Yes. And it never ceases to amaze me the number of people that played minor roles in Doctor Who on the TV side and came back and reprised the same role on Big Finish. And it keeps happening. In fact, we've got several of them on the list. So, and he's just the first. So that's always interesting to me. Now, next, also on the 9th, we have Mr. Morris Berry. Of course, as seen in this picture, I mean, the picture kind of gives it away. He's a director. He directed the Moonbase, the Tomb of the Cybermen, and the Dominators in the Second Doctor era. And he also apparently played a character in The Creature from the Pit, which is interesting. So, yeah, but I mean, he directed 3 episodes, 2 of which we are going to talk about today. So that's one of the main reasons why I decided to keep him on. Now, on the 10th, we have Mr. Rob Shearman. Robert Shearman, but I mean, most people just call him Rob. He wrote several episodes of Big Finish. Some of my favorites, including The Holy Terror, The Chimes of Midnight, very good one. The Maltese Penguin. Trust me, you have to watch it. You have to listen to it to understand. Jubilee, Deadline, and Shelzo, as well as some of the episodes for 100. He played a couple characters on Big Finish, but for the most part, he also wrote the episode Dalek.
Okay.
And speaking of Daleks, someone who has had to tangle with them at least 2 occasions that I can remember from the TV show, that is. Also on the 10th, we have Mr. Peter Purves, who of course played the character of Stephen Taylor in the classic era of Doctor Who. Also came back and reprised the role on Big Finish, and still involved with a lot of Doctor Who projects to this day. I mean, he still narrates a lot of Doctor Who audio novels, most of which involve him playing the Doctor as well. So good on him.
Interesting.
What?
I said interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, he does a really good impression of the first Doctor on those audios. Now, also on the 10th, we have Mr. Conrad Asquith. He played several characters. Well, actually, nope. Sorry, my bad. Multiple credits. Same character. He played PC Quick in the infamous episode, The Talons of Weng Chiang. He later played Sergeant Quick and then Inspector Quick on Big Finish as part of the Jago and Lightfoot series. Still to this day, the most successful Doctor Who Big Finish spin-off. I will continue to say that until something surpasses it. On the 12th, sorry, my bad. On the 12th, we have Mr. Gareth Thomas. Played several characters on Big Finish, but for the most part, he played the character Kalendorf in the Dalek Empire series Very tremendously fan favorite character in that series. If you haven't listened to that one, I highly recommend it, especially the first two seasons. The third one, nah, and then it picks back up in the fourth one. But the first two, and especially with his involvement in it, Doctor Who at its finest. Most of the times. Now, the rounding up our list, also on the 12th, we have Mr. Nabil Shaban.
Oh boy, that character.
Yeah, for the audience, this is the actor. But yeah, he's clearly played this character Syl in Vengeance and Varos, and one of the few randomly characters that actually came back in Mind Warp. And I'll tell you something else. The character also came back twice on Big Finish, voiced by the same guy. That's interesting. And I just love this. I pulled this image from an interview about this, the behind the scenes interview about the episode, where and I'm kind of stuck on this, but I'm tangenting on this because I just love there's a moment there where he explains where he got the idea for the character's laughter, because the character has a very specific laughter. It's like, and he explains it in that episode that he was visiting a friend while working on the character. He was visiting a friend. His friend had a pet snake, and he just picked up the snake and looked at it. And the snake, as snakes do, just went like this.
Yeah.
And he looked at him and he's like, and that's how he came up with the laughter for this character. I know it's a stupid story that I just retold, but for some reason I just really love that story. So yeah, the wonderfully lovely list of people we had today. Thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. Speaking of other people we couldn't do the show without, characters of color. Actors of color playing characters of color. You get my meaning. I mean, you literally could not do the show without people of color. Case in point, the director of the first ever episode is a person of color. Waris Hussain, who of course hails from India. And we're not going to talk about crew members. I was going to include crew members as well, but this list just got longer and longer just looking at the actors. So I decided to just stick with actors and the characters that they played. So yeah, before we start, from memory, is there a character of color that pops out to you from the classic series as much?
I'll be honest, with the classic series, it's not as strong to me because there was only certain episodes or certain, like, well, at least when it came with the classic series, when I tried to find some, I'd always find the part 2 or part 3, never like the whole selection of an episode. So there were certain episodes I avoided because it didn't have like the full like run of the episode.
Probably from the missing episodes, right?
Well, not just the missing episodes too. Like way before Doctor really exploded in America under Tennant and Smith. Even then, it was still difficult for me to come across those. And even after they became popular, there were certain Doctors I never got a chance to watch. Honestly, so there may be some actors that'll pop up in my brain, and some that'll just be like I'm learning for the first time.
Okay. Well, that this is definitely going to be an interesting list. And of course, as any Doctor Who fan knows by now, the first ever character of color in Doctor Who was, of course, the Black Dalek. This was a joke, obviously.
I do. Obviously.
Yeah. So the first 3 seasons, minus a few Asian characters, and initially I wanted to include Asian characters as well, but then I realized it will probably be better served to have their own separate thing because there are, like I said, so many of both. So I just decided to mainly African American, African British, with a few Indians from India, not Native Americans. That is. So the first 3 seasons basically went by without a single person of color in front of the camera. And then only in the first episode of season 4, which was also William Hartnell's penultimate story, we had the character Jamaica. And yes, that is literally the name they gave him. That is how they treated the character. And you know what? He even in the episode The Smugglers, he doesn't do much. He's just a a random pirate that gets killed by the captain because he's angry. So right off the bat, not a very good start. I'll just
Yeah.
say this: not a very good start. Thankfully, it picks back up later. But before we get to some of the good characters, this being the first, a very disappointing start. Any thoughts?
Uh, Regarding that, the moment you said that character name, I'm like, I remember like going through. It's one of those character names I just came across when I was, kind of going through the Doctor Who history, like episode guides. Like this was Hartnell's episodes is definitely one because they were missing. I just saw the name Jamaica pop up. I'm going, who the hell? What kind of character is that? And of course, it was just a minor character. Honestly, nothing much for me to say here, but yeah, it's really clear that that name was just there because the writers put down, oh, this character dies, so there's no point of adding more to this character.
Yeah, my assumption is it was a nickname given to him by the pirates in the episode as a demeaning nickname, which just makes it worse. But that's just my headcanon. And I figured I'd do something that we haven't did in the previous one. I just figured it'd be interesting. Let's just name the name of the actors and actresses. To give them their due credit. So played by Elroy Josephs, and I
Mm-hmm.
honestly I could not find anything else about this guy. I don't think he did much more than just this one Doctor Who episode. So let's move on to the next character we got, and this right off the bat. Not we're already starting with a very low position, but right off the bat, huge improvement with uh, Glenn Williams, this character right here from the 10th planet, one of the astronauts who went to space to investigate on a routine mission just a few moments before
Mondash showed up, right?
Mondas shows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I decided to, the reason why I say such a huge step up is this episode came out in 1966, and the plot itself takes place in 1986. So right back then, and remember, this predates the moon landing. So before the moon landing actually happened, there was actually someone in the BBC that approved the idea of not just a black man as an astronaut, he was also the commander of that flight. So imagine in just one episode, literally back neck and neck to each other, we went from this to this. And another interesting bit that I also think it's worth mentioning is that the spacesuit that he wears, I probably should have looked up the sorry, I probably should have looked up the picture, but the spacesuit he has on was later reused and repurposed as the official costume for the character Bosk in Star
Hmm.
Wars, the bounty hunter. Lucas.
Okay.
So, like I said, uh, huge step up in just one episode, right?
Honestly, yeah, it really is a big step up. I mean, just within, like you said, Jamaica was introduced from in Hartnell's penultimate episode, and then this character is there on the 10th planet. So clearly, like, I'm not sure if it was a big 180 or it was just more of a we casted this actor and let's just say maybe they got bad responses from just the representation of Jamaica to where they decided to do a course correction with Hartnell.
I
At
don't think
least when
that's
it came,
how the show was run back then, though.
like I'm just speculating. I'm honestly speculating. I mean, but even then, BBC did state that they sometimes did get viewership, like letters or calls regarding certain episodes during the early runs of the season.
But they
I
were
mean, I'm not sure if it was that responsive. I'll be honest, like it really wasn't that responsive, and yeah, it could not be the way it was run. But just seeing the turnaround there just made me think that maybe I don't know maybe there's just some people within the crew or the writing session with casting just thought, oh, maybe we need to change this up. And also, like during the moon landing was 69. This is during the time within the 60s of the civil rights movement in America. So I'm probably guessing maybe England, even though it wasn't happening like that in England, but I'm pretty sure maybe they were trying to, trying to keep in with the times.
Yeah, and you can actually see that even happening even more in the episode itself, because in that episode, I can't remember if it's the leader of the free world or the head of the United Nations. I can't remember what the exact position, but the person basically in charge of the whole world was Latino. And I think they also had a couple of Asian characters there and a couple of Indian characters as well. So, like you said, this was a complete 180 from just one random character who gets killed off to trying to bring the diversity even more. So, and I think this might have also been the first episode to feature Americans in the show, proper Americans, not British people playing American characters. But yeah, so this is the spacesuit that I was talking about that was later reused as the character of Bosk. So yeah, this episode in so many different ways is a gold mine for um, geeky goodness. Of course, it's the introduction of the Cyberman. It's the first episode the Doctor ever regenerates. It was refeatured in Capaldi's last episode, and they threw the last part of it away. I still will never understand that decision, but I mean, it's the BBC just being BBC, I guess. So the actor was Earl Cameron, and I also, let's see, non-Doctor Who roles. He was in Paul of Tarsus, Danger Man, the Andromeda Breakthrough, Thunderball. That's James Bond.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's The Prisoner, Jackanory, the Queen, and Inception. The Inception. Wow, that's interesting.
But when you say Inception, do you mean the Chris Nolan film or something different?
I don't know a lot of movies named Inception. That's why I was.
Okay, that's why I wanted to clarify, because when you said that, I'm immediately thinking Nolan.
Yeah, me too. Like that Inception. Okay,
just one of those things I just wanted to get clarified. That's all. Yeah. Just so we don't confuse the audience either.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I just read that first time, so and then of course we take a couple more steps back with this character, which was just named Ralph in the episode. A full name Ralph Adebayo. Last name was added in the novelization of the episode The Moon Base, played by Mark Heath, and he was basically just a crew member on the moon base that was killed off by Cybermen pretty quickly. But once again, we got black people in space, black people on the moon. It's kind of tough to see, but there's the flag insignia on the chest of his uniform, which some people have analyzed it to say that he's from Nigeria. So again, and also in that episode, there's a Frenchman on the moon base that I remember, and a couple other people from other different diverse ethnicities. But yeah, doesn't really do much, unfortunately, but still, it's at least they were trying, right? At least they were trying.
I mean, look, when you it does look to me that there was when the fact that Doctor you involve setting characters. I mean, the saying is that when you have a time traveling machine and you're going into like a future or the past, I mean, of course they can play loose with the past as much as they want, but if they're going to the future in science fiction, the point is in science fiction is that it's not relevant to the current times, despite what the representation is on screen. At least in science fiction, you do want to present the idea of what our future could look, what a future could look like in science fiction. So if it requires more diversity, meaning like a black captain, a commander for an astronaut mission in the future, or just someone as pretty much in Doctor Who terms, a black or African American or African person casted, just so they're red shirted by a
Mm.
monster or a villain in the show, that's at least showing that they are staying focused to the concept of what the concept and the ideals of what science fiction is. Sure, they may not always have an ideal role or be involved in the plot generally, but as long as they're taking the necessary steps of inclusion when it comes to science fiction, then you know what, that's completely fine.
Yeah,
Unless
and
it's very, very offensive, then
yeah,
that's the biggest exception.
yeah. Hint, hint. But speaking of red shirts, this was also around the time of the original Star Trek series, which did go all out on the diversity, like you were saying.
And it's kind of, I'm pretty sure Doctor Who did not want to be like seen as, um, oh my god, they didn't want to be seen as kind of like retro or something like that, or something where they're not keeping up with, like I said, the keeping up with the
Time,
times.
yeah. Especially considering that they were run by the BBC, one of the most racist corporations of all time. But moving
Apparently,
on, we've got
still. Huh.
yeah, still, uh, and moving on, we have the character Kemmel in The Evil of the Daleks, not to be confused with The Power of the Daleks, as some people generally sometimes tend to do. Now, officially, this character is a Turk, or rather an Ottoman, if you're familiar with the time period that this
Yes.
episode takes place in, but played by a black man, Sonny Caldines, who, of course, went on to play several Ice Warrior characters. I believe he actually played an Ice Warrior in every episode of the classic series to feature them. But for the most part, he was just a mute muscle guy and a very good friend of Victoria Waterfield, almost like her protector in many ways in the different trials and tribulations that the Daleks put her and Jamie through. Eventually, he starts off fighting Jamie because he thinks he wants to harm Victoria. Eventually, I believe Jamie, if I remember correctly, it was Jamie that saved his life, or probably the other way around. I'm pretty sure it was Jamie that saved his life, and they became very close friends after the fact. And then he unfortunately sacrificed himself so that both Jamie and Victoria could escape. But
Mm-hmm.
the actor himself, Sonny Caldines, as I mentioned, I believe he played in also a couple of Bond movies. Let's see. He was in The Man with the Golden Gun, Hawaii Five-O, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Return of Sherlock Holmes, Neverwhere, and The Fifth Element. Wow, I did not realize that. So
Huh.
clearly,
Okay.
the guy's got credentials.
I think more than that, he's definitely made a strong impression. Seeing that he gets like you said, he comes back in Doctor Who. He plays like some Ice Warrior characters, which were prominent all the way up at least to the third Doctor. Uh, so that's continuous. No, that's Silurians. I'm confusing them with the Silurians.
Yes, yeah. Also reptilian, also green, but different race.
Well, not just different, yeah, different in a way, different like a different sort of species, different in a way, kind of like with during the time with the Ottoman Turk Empire, there was a difference between, like they said, there was Ottomans and then there was the Turks. Like they, even though they were two countries combined, there were still some differences. Like if you went to Constantinople, you'd see an amalgamation of regions and races, but there was always like a subtle difference. So like calling an Ice Warrior Silurian would be a bit of like an insult.
Yeah. So
But I'm definitely gonna find out what kind of credits he had for the movies listed down there. I'm gonna try to see where he was in The Man Golden Gun and for The Fifth Element.
yeah, unfortunately, it only lists the movies, not the actual roles he played, which is a bit
Oh, great.
disappointing. But here's another character with an actor with several interesting credits to his name. And actually, as a matter of fact, it's the immediate next episode after this one, which we also talked about in the birthday section. In Tomb of the Cybermen, we had the character Toberman. I love this character. As a matter of fact, I think he might be my favorite of all the characters on this list. There's one that coming up that could rival him, but I mean, he's very much like Kemmel, a kind of a silent muscle guy,
Okay.
but with very few very few words. This guy has a presence, and more than that, he's got so much character. It's almost like a uh, Iron Giant type, or Wally, or Groot, like with very limited vocabulary. He just sticks with you. Of course, he was a hired gun, or hired muscle, I should say, for the character of Kaftan, the villainous character who very sometimes it seems like she was the main villain. Of course, she partnered up with this other guy, Klieg, I believe his name is, who just wanted to infiltrate the Cyberman city on Telos and kind of
Okay.
force the Cybermen to work for him. Of course, there's many villains in that episode, like Klieg, Kaftan, Toberman, and the Cybermen themselves. But some reason, just Kaftan and Toberman, they had this kind of, to use a Marvel Comics reference, an enchantress and executioner
Okay.
relationship, where he would do anything for her, and she barely paid him any attention. Like he was literally like the loyal muscle guy. He even had a fight with a Cyberman at one point. There's a really cool and fun fight scene where a Cyberman literally picks him up and throws him, and you can see the wires lifting him up, and it's a very uh, very 60s fight scene that he picks Toberman up and throws him away. And then by the end of the episode, and of course later, they half convert him into a Cyberman already. I mean, imagine that this guy with this huge presence and the muscles becoming a Cyberman, getting even more powerful. And by the end, after the Cybermen kill Kaftan, this is where his emotions break through. It's like he was so loyal and devoted to her, and when he saw the Cybermen kill her, like that's what really brought back the human element back out of him. And the Doctor convinces him to kill the Cybermen off, and he has a fight with the Cyber leader, and he does the same thing that happened to him. He picks up the Cyber leader and throws him at the wall. And again, it's very 60s. You can tell that he's just picking up a empty suit and throws it away. But again, just with very few dialogue, he just managed to be this very very standout character, and I just love Tomb of the Cybermen in general. It's one of my favorite episodes of the classic series. One of my favorite Cybermen episodes, and a big part of it is because of the characters in the human characters in that episode. Toberman and Kaftan being one of them. And before we move on to the actor, is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I've not seen the Tomb of the Cyberman, and from what you're just recapping, I mean, that honestly looks like a very very interesting episode. And yeah, I like the fact that, and I do like his character's inclusion in it. He's not just he's not just some henchman or just a side character that's just fodder for the Cybermen just to show how dangerous they are. I like when you just mentioned that he's one of the few who's able to break through from the Cybermen programming to aid and assist the Doctor. So I do like that.
Yeah, and the name of the actor, if my mouse would work with me for a second, the name of the actor is Roy Thomas, and look, just looking at his,
That image of him looks very familiar. Where is that from? Oh my
I
god!
believe it's from Live and Let Die.
Yes,
Does
yes.
he?
He plays. I believe he plays the. He's the pilot. He's the captain that takes. Actually, I don't know if he's the captain that drives Bond to the island for Kananga, or he's one of the henchmen under Kananga.
It says here, yeah, the boatman Quarrel Jr.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, that's the character from from the show. That's the character's meant to be the son of the boat captain Quarrel from Doctor No, who
Mm.
got killed, whose character unfortunately got killed off, even though in the books that character is alive. But yeah, I like that they yeah, Live and Let Die. Yes. He's the one that he's an ally of Bond's.
It's also Jean-Luc Godard's Sympathy for the Devil. Ring any bells?
Sympathy for the Devil.
Hmm.
No, it doesn't.
Oh well. He also apparently he owned a Caribbean restaurant in in Bayswater, wherever that is. So good for him. It looks like he made a name for himself outside of acting, which is also great. There's also another Doctor Who companion actor who also owned a Beatles themed bar, and I can't remember the name of the bar, but that was also a pretty interesting fact that I learned doing doing this show. As a matter of fact, now we're still sticking with the second Doctor for this next one, and we're going for one of my favorite episodes of the second Doctor ever. It's weird how, uh, with the exception of the first two we talked about, a lot of these were in some of my favorite uh, second Doctor episodes. So we're going for the enemy of the world with the character Faraya Naguib. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. I am terrible with names, but yeah, she was basically the henchwoman, the right hand woman of Salamander, the main villain of the episode, who conveniently looked exactly like the Doctor, which was the main plot point of the serial. She was like, again, just like Toberman, loyal to a T, would do anything for him, would basically die for him. And then later, at some point in the episode, she realizes just how rotten he is and how bad he is, unlike Toberman, of course. And she joins the resistance, and she does try to help the Doctor's friends who are working undercover for Salamander. She tries to help. She joins the good side, and it's a very tragic moment where she has proof of his evil deeds and his evil involvements. She's trying to get it to the resistance, and she was killed before she could reach them, which sadly, not only we lose a really great character, but also this would have really helped the plot a lot. So Faraya, speaking of this episode, also this episode was missing for a lot of years, and actually much like the Tomb of the Cybermen, as a matter of fact. But it was only like one episode from the 6-part serial that was still around, and then somehow miraculously around the 50th we had a early Christmas miracle. They found all the parts of the serial, and on my recent rewatch I got to watch all of them for the first time. And she has some really great moments in this episode, some really good fight scenes in this episode. As a matter of fact, this episode, there's her and this other character, Astrid. No relation to Astrid from the David Tennant episode, but this
you have my hopes up there.
yeah, sorry, and she's not Kylie Minogue, but she was a major badass in this episode. And then that's one of the things I really appreciate about this episode, the girl power in this episode. Like this other character, Astrid, she kicks ass in this episode. And she's the boss. But yeah, so is this character Faraya. Did you watch Enemy of the World?
No, unfortunately, I think with the first and second Doctor, I'll admit, I only came across maybe 2 episodes of William Hartnell's Doctor, which was the Aztecs and the 10th Planet. I did watch an Unearthly Child, those 3. But regarding Patrick Troughton, yeah, I have watched no episodes of his era. Maybe outside of the last 3 parts of War Games, but beyond that, oh no, wait. And no, there was one episode I did watch of with him, Victoria, and Jamie. The Snowman. Yeah, the Snowman. Yes, but those are the only ones I've seen.
The Abominable Snowman.
The Abominable Snowman. Yes, which was the debut of the Great Intelligence.
Yeah, and the Yetis. The character was played, of course, by Carmen Monroe, who, outside of Doctor Who, is best known for roles in The Fosters and Desmond's, 2 pioneering Black British sitcoms. And
Okay.
here's the interesting bit. In 1986, along with Mona Hammond, she co-founded Talawa, the UK's leading black theater company.
I have heard about Talawa during my time in college when I was taking theater classes. That did come across my research. Interesting.
Yeah. Have you heard of Mona Hammond?
Yes, I have. It's been a while since I've kept up with Broadway and theater, so I know the name, but everything else, the context surrounding her or the knowledge I had is gone.
All right. Well, she played Mickey's grandmother in the
Oh my god,
Rise of the Cybermen. Yeah, she played.
we were freaking talking about of that in last episode. Yeah, honestly, name just didn't stick with me, which was stupid. Ugh.
It happens. It happens. Even I forget stuff. It's okay. Now we have in Patrick Troughton's final episode, officially, before not counting episodes where he returned for the
Yeah.
role, but oddly enough, my favorite of his episodes, we have the War Games, and in the massive 10-part serial that had dozens and dozens and dozens of characters in it, we had the character Harper, who was essentially a Union Army soldier in the American Civil War zone of the war world. Very hard to pronounce that. But yeah, he was basically a leading soldier in the Union Army. And not only that, he was in um, the it was part of this rebel group of all the different soldiers from all the different battle worlds who teamed up to take on the warlords. And he's got a pretty major role to play. Not too major, but I love that in this great big confusing mess of an episode, they got people from all sides of the conflict. They had people from the Mexican Wars, people from the Roman Empire Wars, people from Russian Wars, and well, uh, people from the American Civil War.
Yeah, that I mean that was the only part I remember in some of the episodes I found. At least some of the episodes from that serial I found where I saw Confederate soldiers. I almost thought for a second they had also gotten soldiers from the Mexican American War. But
I think they did, as a matter of fact.
okay,
Uh, Outside of Doctor Who, actor Rudolph Walker, sorry. Outside of Doctor Who, he played the character of Patrick Truman in EastEnders,
hmm.
and uh, he played Bill Reynolds in Love Thy Number, and Constable Gladstone in The Thin Blue Line,
Okay, that
among
is
others. I'm assuming.
yeah, that's definitely familiar. Thin Blue Line. Haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. And jumping into the third Doctor, we have in the episode The Mutants, Cotton, not to be confused with the character from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Uh, Cotton, I actually really like his character because in this episode, which basically takes place uh, on two main settings on a planet that I cannot remember the name of at the moment. Let me just. Solos, the planet Solos, and this a space station orbiting the planet basically plays a guard, a random guard on that space station that just doesn't like where the racist ideas that the marshal has towards the people of Solos, and him along with his friend Stubbs eventually join the Doctor and Joe in taking the guy down, and I like it. And I like that this is one of the things that Doctor Who really does best is people who seem not as important as the large historical figures. They're the real heroes in many ways. Like the people you normally wouldn't look at, they're the ones that are affecting change. So you
Yeah,
really just took two random security guards who were just sitting around playing chess. Literally, in the episode, they were just sitting around playing chess, and then the Doctor and Joe just randomly stumble into their lives and just make their lives better, and they really help the Doctor and friends um, defeat this evil racist Marshall guy. Now, of course, if you watch the episode, there's a giant, the huge Deus Ex Machina moment. So pretty much nothing they did had any meaning. But without them, you wouldn't get this guy to becoming the godlike being that he needed to be, and that's how he killed the marshal by the end. But yeah, I just love, and he's got a lot of really comedic moments with the other character Stubbs, and it's another one of those characters where you look at them and it's like, oh, so they're just random, the grunts. They're just gonna do what they're told and kill the Doctor and Joe if they're told to. But no, they think they think outside the box. They rise above their uh, societal norms
Yeah.
in a way. Uh, Anything else?
No, I don't. I do like the inclusion of that little story. But look, I probably didn't say this to you. I probably didn't say this earlier before the stream, but look, there's gonna be a lot of classic episodes I did not see, but I do like that little storyline involved, and that is a good example of the Doctor, or in general, just helping others, like really inspiring others to really stand for what is morally right, not
Yeah.
just like what's right at the moment, but what is the universal like morality of, of like, you see somebody oppressing, you see some prejudice, you can't just be behind them because, oh, they happen to have a point. No, like, leader, sooner or later that point is going to like bleed out, like whatever their point is, it's going to disappear, and it's just going to be their exact excuse for committing more horrible acts.
Hmm. Be on the right side of history. And the actor Rick James only has three other television credits in episodes of Play for Today, Dixon of Dock Green, and Blake Seven. Uh,
Mm.
so that's it for him. Now this next one, I'm gonna shock you. In this next episode, we actually have two people of color.
Okay.
That's progress. Now, don't get your hopes up. Again, very minor roles. First up is a newscaster in the episode "Frontier in Space." Have you? This is a very beloved episode. Have you seen Frontier in Space?
I have not, unfortunately.
Uh, that's unfortunate, but I just love, again, it takes place a couple hundred years in the future, 25, 40, and right then and there they're putting black people in front of cameras. They're saying black people in the news, and I love that. And it's an episode that feels very globally, despite the lack of locations on Earth that you're seeing. This episode really goes all over the place. There's the Earth Embassy. There's several episodes taking place on the moon. There's on the Ogron planet, on the Master's ship, all kinds of locations. But as far as Earth goes, we only get to see mostly two locations. But it really does make this because of the news cycle in the background. It feels like there's a much bigger thing happening here. And first of all, I just love the logo on the chest. It just looks like a really interesting. I don't know if it's the logo for the Earth Empire or Earth Gov or the news station, but it kind of reminds me of the Israeli, the old Israeli news channel, the Channel One, the first channel. But here's the thing I think we need to focus on, because the actor played him is Louis Mahoney, or Louis Mahoney. I apologize if that's wrong. Does the name sound familiar?
It does ring a bell, honestly. It does.
Okay. Does this refresh your memory? This is him more recently.
Oh. The face is there, honestly. Look, you're probably gonna have to name a project or something before I can get before I'm able to connect the dots.
Do you mind to just tell you, or do you want me to hint?
Just tell me.
Okay, so he played the older Billy Shipton in the episode Blink.
Okay.
So stuck around in Doctor Who after this episode, and the other character in the same episode, and I apologize, but this character only has one name, uh, Patel, which I'm assuming is it sounds like a last name, but there's no first name to attach it to. He basically played another prisoner on the Moon prison with the Doctor. Uh,
Okay.
but it's such a minor role. Again, it gives the episode such a larger feeling of a much bigger war because he's part of and essentially a resistance movement, uh, a liberation movement that was operating on Earth. And you really kind of have to watch the episode itself to get the full context. But there's some interesting story breadcrumbs that his character throws, and it kind of gives you a little bit more of information on the state of how the world is in the 26th century. But yeah, he's just there on Earth, on the moon, and left behind. And the
Huh.
name of the actor is Madhav Sharma, our first Indian uh, actor. And well, nothing. There's nothing on this guy.
Okay.
So
Huh.
I apologize. But what do you have to say about these two characters that we just discussed?
I wish I had something to add. I really don't, unfortunately.
But
I mean,
well,
I love the inclusion of it, and it shows, and the show is still keeping up with the purposes of science fiction, which is meant to be inclusive, especially when you do talk about the future. I mean, you really want to give people, you want to get, even if the society, even if you do a depiction of society and it doesn't look like morally correct, like who's ever behind the wheel, who's running the government or something like that, but you still, at least when it comes with the everyday people or the people you want to paint the picture of the society of, it is good to have inclusion of characters like the two that you've just mentioned.
yeah. And interestingly enough, we're staying with Louis Mahoney. I hope I'm saying it right. There's a reason why I put his picture in the background because we're sticking with him to the next character, Ponty, which is from the episode Planet of Evil. We jumped over to the Tom Baker era, but basically he was a crew member on the ship sent to Zeta Minor in the year 36,166 to make contact with Professor Sorensen's expedition. So, bit of a minor role, actually, slightly bigger than the previous role he played, but I just really like Louis Mahoney. He plays small roles in Doctor Who, but small roles that add a lot of flavor to the episode he's in. So that's nice.
All right.
And we're sticking with the fourth Doctor, as you well remember. He had a lot of years in the role, and once again, we got two people in the same episode again, and we're also now jumping into uh, Muslim characters, Arab characters, with Ibrahim Namin from the episode Pyramids of Mars, and he was the high priest in the cult of the Black Pyramid in the episode. Of course, the cult that whose whole goal was to bring back um, Sutek the Destroyer, of course, the last of the Osirians, and of course the character Ahmed, who was basically a servant of Professor Marcus Scarman during the expedition to Egypt in 1911. So again, widening the circle of diversity. And we had our first character of Indian descent. Now we've got our first Muslim and Arab characters, both in the same episode. Again, still playing minor roles, servant roles, but again, I like the inclusion. And this time we're talking about the past. So if you're gonna go back to the past, I don't want to throw salt on the wounds, but you can't just do what you did in the Crusade episode where you had two white guys playing Salahuddin and Safahaddin. So uh, yeah, you can't do that anymore. If you're gonna involve episodes from the past and specifically involving uh, lore from countries which by this point are Arab nations like Egypt. Obviously, it wasn't an Arab nation in ancient Egypt, but it is now, and it is definitely when the episode is taking place. So be authentic and cast these Arab and Muslim actors, and this is exactly what they did. Do you agree? Do you concur?
I do agree, yeah, because the longer the show is going on, especially the more, at least after the '60s, the more socially conscious society is becoming. You do need to realize that you can't stick to the regular like ways that you've been doing the business. It doesn't matter if it's more of, oh, it's just easier for us to cast certain actors coming back again and again for a role. No, well, the world is changing. You have to change with it. Even if you are doing futuristic societies, even when you do situations like with Doctor when they travel to the past, it's no longer in black and white anymore. You now have this stuff in color. So people are going to notice something different. I mean, it's not like people can just, it's not like certain groups of people can just like, oh, accept it and move on. No, there's going to be some out there that won't accept if these characters were casted as British white men.
Yeah, and I need to apologize. I made a bit of an oopsie. The first character I mentioned, Ibrahim Lamine, was actually played by a white guy, but
Yeah.
the other guy, Ahmed, was played by Vic Tablian, who, let me just make sure so we don't have run into the same issue again. I'm pretty sure I proof checked it before. Let me just check.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, this guy's actually an American British actor. So I did a double whoopsie on both of these, but the reason I decided to keep the second one was because he was this guy. He was
Okay,
the
that works.
monkey guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But okay, so in an effort to fix this, at least they were trying to expand their circle of diversity. It'll take a while until they'll actually cast Arab actors like this guy, Nabil
Mhm.
Shaban, and of course, Jordanian actor as the character Sil. But yeah, my bad. I apologize. This next one, though, I am 100% certain I did not make a mistake. Doctor Who production team were the ones who made the mistake here. But
Okay.
and you'll see why when I talk about. I mean, you have at least heard of the infamous episode, um, "The Talons of Wang Chiang," right?
Yes, I have heard about it. I
Yeah.
think because of what I've heard about it, I avoided watching it honestly.
Yes. Now I will say this: story-wise, it's a very good episode. Optics-wise, not so much. Case in point, one of the main henchmen in the episode is Mister Sin.
Oh yes, I
Right
saw
from
the
this
images of that character.
Now, right from this image, you can see why it's so bad. It's so problematic. But like I said, story great, led to a lot of great spin-offs, but the execution, I would have been happier if it was made in a much more progressive time. Like, casting white actors as Asian actors and just the horrible, horrible yellow face on Lee Sang Chang in the episode. It's just
I think I think maybe actually I can't speak for other people. I think it would have been less offensive if the character didn't have that yellow face on there. If it was just more of a oh, they need if it was even if they did cast a. I mean, if they just, I guess it wouldn't have helped if it was a British actor playing a character with a Chinese name. But the yellow face in there, and clearly from that image you saw, they try to do as best they can just to cover this character up, so you wouldn't see any sense of, oh, this character is not British or is not white. But ultimately it didn't help them. It would have been less offensive though if they actually tried to do the yellowing. If they didn't do the yellowing, it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse the casting choice and the direction they took with it. But I'm pretty sure that that alone is not that did them no damn favors.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I brought it up, and I feel like I kind of have to share so people in the audience will understand where I'm coming from. Okay, so again, really good villain, very good villain, but look at this.
Yeah.
Very, very intimidating, very threatening, but just looking at the characters, just bad. But the
Yeah,
reason I
I mean, at
brought up,
least with the original version, at least with the first incarnation of the Toy Maker, wasn't as offensive. Sure, he's wearing Chinese garb or so, but at least it's kind of like this. It spoke with a little bit of the character. I mean, if that alone, that was an intentional choice.
yeah, but the reason I brought up Mr. Sin was because he was played by Deep Roy.
Hmm.
So again, the intention
Okay.
of casting people of color in Doctor Who, but you put them in ridiculously offensive costumes. Of course,
Yeah.
Deep Roy. The name does sound familiar to you, right?
Yes, I've seen this guy in a couple of in a couple of programs, and I think maybe
Yeah.
some films. Yeah, I would have to look him up. I would have to look up his credits to name
Oh,
them
oh
aloud.
wow. Oh wow. He's got a lot. He's got a
Yeah, I know
lot.
he has a lot. That's why I would need to find a few of them.
Okay, so let me just make it a bit easier for you. The new Avengers, the British Avengers, the Pink Panther,
Oh yeah,
sorry,
Peter Sellers. Yes.
the Pink Panther strikes again. Blake Seven, Flash Gordon, the Dark Crystal, the Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
Return to Oz, Aliens from L.A., uh, the Resurrected, the X Files, Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I remember that one. He played Oompa Loompas. Uh,
Yes. Okay. Big Fish and Charlie and Chocolate Factory. He definitely he definitely stands out.
Corpse Bride, and it says here Star Trek movies. I remember him specifically from Beyond. He played that
Uh,
guy at
pretty
the
sure he
bar.
does. I'm pretty sure this character does stand out. I think in somewhere in one of the JJ films.
Yeah, was the no, it wasn't the JJ film, the one I was thinking of. But yeah, so this guy has a lot of credits. Like I knew in Star Wars he was a stand-in for R2 at times, but yeah, this list is just insane. This guy, good on him.
Honestly,
Uh,
incredible.
Now, the after this episode, we got a couple seasons with no people of color whatsoever until Destiny of the Daleks, where something very interesting happened. They not just had one or two characters in it; they basically had a species where a large number of them were actually cast by actors of color, the Movellans.
Hmm.
Of course they're androids, but the people playing the androids are for the most part people of color. Some of them even playing the main characters, as a matter of fact. Now, of course, the sparkly white outfits, the weird hairs, the weird guns, the butts. I mean, the fit bodies these characters have. I mean, they definitely made an impression. I mean, call it spade a spade. Call it what it is. These guys defeated the Daleks, essentially. Of course, they needed some help from the Doctor, but these guys basically devised a virus that's lethal to Dalek mutant cells, and that's how they won the Dalek Movellan War.
That does just some of the cliff notes I saw when I was looking at the episode guide for that episode. Okay, that does stand out a lot more now.
Yeah, and I just love that basically the now some of them aren't people of color, these guys, the Movellans, but a lot of them are, and I just love um, Doctor Who writers sort of expanding their view on other races in the universe. It's like not every alien the Doctor meets has to be white people in suits, crazy
Yeah.
suits. Uh, yeah, so the main the main leader of the Movellans is sorry, not the main one. One of them, or the most prominent one, is out of the people of color playing the Movellans, is a character called Lan, played by Tony Osoba, who actually comes back in several other Doctor Who episodes. But as far as uh, other stuff, he's best known for playing um, McLaren on the prison sitcom Porridge, Detective Sergeant Jarvis on
Okay.
Dempsey and Dempsey and Makepeace, and Peter Ingram on Coronation Street. So, yep. I mean, definitely a downfall from Deep Roy and the large list of credits he had, but we're gonna go back to him anyways because he's in a few more Doctor Who episodes. One we're going to talk about, and another one from Kill the Moon, which was the Peter Capaldi episode.
Okay.
Now, next we jump into the fifth Doctor with the character I hope I can pronounce the name Kurkutji. Kurkutji. This character, who is an Australian or Aborigine, on the spaceship from Ford to Doomsday. Basically, it's kind of a weird thing, but this guy Monarch and his two sidekicks, Enlightenment and Persuasion, and yes, that's their names. He basically took four representatives of four different human ethnicities on a spaceship with a lot of androids representing those ethnicities, and just traveled all the way back to the beginning of the universe because he believed that he was God and he wanted to meet himself. And yeah, so there was a British guy, a Chinese guy, and two people we're going to talk about: Kurkuchi, if I'm saying the name right, and Villagra, which is this character right here.
Okay.
It's a weird episode. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm still not 100% sure what was the plan in that episode. Like huge production value, I'll give him that. The episode looks great, and there's a really cool concept of with the Enlightenment and Persuasion and the Monarch. And there's a really cool moment of when the Doctor first meets him. He's like, "I am Monarch," and the Doctor's like, "Yes, you look as if you might be," because he's sitting on this big throne. But so he asks Tegan to draw what people on Earth are wearing, and apparently Tegan's a master of arts or whatever. So she draws a very specific, very detailed look of two humans, a man and a woman, and Mark gives it to Enlightenment and Persuasion. They go off screen. By the end of the episode, they come back, those two characters as the human characters that she drew. So it's a cool moment, and that's really what this episode is: a collection of cool moments, really shock value cliffhangers, but not much in between.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, they got an African British actor to play an Australian Aborigine, because apparently for the BBC both are the same. There's no reason to put that much effort into actually getting an Aborigine actor to play the character, but they do, I believe, at some points in the episode actually speak the language. And apparently, Tegan is a woman of many talents. She can speak Australian Aborigine, which is an interesting. Anything you'd like to add on these two characters?
Honestly, I really have nothing to add on this. The Fifth Doctor, honestly, he made no impression on me. Even like some of his episodes, I really would have to rewatch for some of the like impression from the episode because I think I watched maybe 5 serial episodes and then I didn't go turn back. I didn't go back until maybe for his regeneration episode for his. So yeah, I got nothing to add.
All right. So Kurkuchi, if that's his real name, was played by Ilario BC Pedro, and no other credits are to his name. And Villagria was played by Nadia Nadia Hamam, sorry, I apologize. And her only other known acting credit was in the 1982 episode of Play for Today.
Hmm.
If I've never heard of that. And yeah, unfortunately, we're going to continue on this. We had some really big ones in the first couple first couple ones we talked about. For some reason, that just died down a bit in the 80s because the next one is just another minion character in the episode Enlightenment with this character Mansell, who was basically just a the first mate on the Buccaneer piloted by Captain Rack. He was basically the first mate on the ship. It looks like a pirate ship, but it's actually flying through space. And that's kind of all he did. It's a really cool episode. I like this episode. A lot of cool concepts of just these what's the area I'm looking for? These 16th century ships racing each other across stars, across galaxies, flying through space, trying to reach enlightenment, which is the ultimate prize, everything your heart's desire. The actor was Lee John with 3 E's for some reason. I wonder if that's intentional or just a mistake on the wiki part. But at the time of the story's recording, he was the lead singer of the 80s pop group Imagination. And that's the only credit he has on the wiki. And I can see that you've had nothing to add from the awkward silence.
I really have nothing.
Me neither. Me neither. We had such a good start with some of these first few characters, and now we're just.
Well, I think I don't know. I think maybe because the direction and quality in terms of Doctor Who when they start turning under Jonathan Nathan Turner is just kind of like. I think it kind of shows not just in episode quality, writing quality, maybe even casting quality as well.
Yeah, and it's like, why cast some certain people if you're not gonna give them something to do too much? We're gonna run into some more of that in the episode Resurrection of the Daleks with 2 more characters. We have Tyler Mercer and a character named Fabian Osborne. Fabian Osborne, hopefully no relation to Clara Osborne.
I doubt that. Yeah. The way Moffat wrote that, it was mainly just Clara in every version of herself, and she looks nothing like her.
But the Doctor didn't recognize any of those other versions, so maybe the audience didn't as well.
Oh. I mean, why are you doing this to yourself, man? You don't like Clara. You want to throw that out there?
No, it's just I can't unthink that. Like I can give you a list of characters from the classic series that in my head canon are potential Claras, and it's killing me. But yeah, so she was this character Fabian Osborne was a crew member on the prison station on which Davros was held prisoner. And the other character, Lieutenant Tyler Mercer, was another crew member on that same prison station. So again, just cast two people of color, and they're just randos, random background characters. At least, like with Cotton, who was also a random character, at least he had substance. At least he had a character arc. The actors were Jim Findley and apologize again if I'm mispronouncing the name, Sneh Gupta. Nothing much on them.
Snake.
But again, this is the Doctor Who wiki doing it. And now we're on to the episode Mind Warp, which, also heavily features the return of Nabil Shaban. I mean, we talked about him long enough, but I think we've got three characters in this episode. Let me just check. Three characters, and not much substance. We've got the character Connie, who was this sounds good, a senior servant of Lord Keeve. We've got Frax, who there's actually some interesting. Nope. He was another servant, and the leader of the rebels. Now that's a role with some substance to it. Tuza, and these are the three characters we got in the episode Mind Warp. We got a servant, a senior servant, and the leader of the rebels, on Thoris Alpha. So, and here, it's been a while since I've seen the episode, and clearly I haven't gotten to it in my rewatch. But he was actually very close with King Icarnos, who of course was played by Brian Blessed, and eventually the character allegedly married Perry by the end of the episode. So, two characters without too much to add, but at least the guy who was helping the main person in the episode outside of the Doctor and Companion. So the silence I'm getting from you is telling. Oh no, it's because you're muted.
Sorry, I apologize. There's background noise happening. I had to turn on my camera, try to find out where that came from. I was trying to put my thoughts together regarding the ones you brought up with. Honestly, only I really can't bring up anything there. I mean, it's an improvement. Like these are three characters that actually they may not have like story impact, but at least with character interaction, though, you do see that at least from the story that they're from the serial that they're within Colin Baker's time. At least they do make it. They do lay an impact. They do lay an impression.
Yeah. And you know what else made an impression? The actors, because we finally have credits to attach to these people. And now the character of Connie was played by, I really hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly, Alibe Parsons. Let's go with Alibe. She was on Treasure Island, Gangsters, Space 1999, The Sender, Bergerac, The First Olympics, Athens 1896, Aliens? Casualty, Coronation Street, Randall and Hopkirk, Deceased, The Bill, Waking the Dead, The Crouches, and Imagine. Aliens, isn't she
like the Ridley Scott aliens?
Yeah.
Huh.
The other character Frax was played by Trevor Laird, who also has a long list of credits. He was in Crowder. Oh my goodness, Quadrophenia, The Long Good Friday, uh,
Uh-huh.
Crown Court, The Lenny Henry Show, Smack and Thistle, Secrets and Lies, Grange Hill, Casualty, Love, Honor, and Obey, The Last Detective, Peep Show, Waking the Dead. Also, One Man, Two Two Governors, and the Toast of London.
Hmm.
And as for the third person who played Tusa, actor was named Gordon Gordon Wernicke. Hope I'm saying that right. He was in My Beautiful Laundrette, Boone, Birds of a Feather, EastEnders, The Bill, Brookside, the Telemachy, Holby City, and London Unplugged.
Okay.
Any
Huh.
of those projects ringing any bells?
Well, EastEnders obviously, but it's mainly just through like
Yeah.
video essays I know of that.
And with that, we were making the jump to the Seventh Doctor, where thankfully, finally things are picking up a little bit for actors of color. Not so much for the first one, but the first one we got Tony Osoba back again as the character Crocker, whichever you want to call it. He was the leader of Kane's forces on Ice World, and the on the Ice World state. I can't remember if it was a station or a planet, but yeah, he was basically the leader of the guards. He wasn't just some random uh, grunt. He was the leader of the guards, which and that's a place of authority. And since we already talked about uh, Tony Osoba, we
Hmm.
can uh, move on to a character simply named Sean. That's all his name is, and he was in just one minor scene in the episode Remembrance of the Daleks, but it's a very impactful scene. He was basically and I'm not sure if I'm saying that I'm using the name correctly. A barista. He owned a tea shop, I think, or a coffee shop. And it's like when the doctor was contemplating whether he should uh, destroy the Daleks or not. He was contemplating whether he should use the hand of Omega to destroy Davros and
Oh,
uh,
okay.
the Skaro. And while he was just making the rounds all over town, he just randomly went into a coffee shop and got a coffee. And this guy, uh, the head of the shop, asked him if he wanted some sugar, and it just led into him just going, a decision. Every great decision creates ripples. I can't remember the exact speech he gave, but it's a very impactful speech, and I love it. It's a very introspective. It's a very existential speech, and it's one of my favorite moments from that Doctor, who is not one of my favorites, as a matter of fact, for other reasons. But I just really I think he really helped the scene a lot. The character John, because you see the Doctor conflicted, you see the Doctor struggling with himself, and then
Hmm.
comes this guy, the most cheerful, happy person in the world, just trying to be a good host to the guy, and just trying to help him make the right decisions. And I just really like that. I think that the whole scene is on YouTube, and it's a very again. I love the contrast of the existential uh, stress of the Doctor with the casual optimism of this character John.
Hmm. Interesting. Huh.
Uh, as far as the actor goes, played by Joseph Marcel, who and we're back to no credits apparently.
I
Outside of
guess
Doctor Who,
not as much, right? Not.
Uh, outside Doctor Who, he is perhaps best known for playing Jeffrey in the American sit. Oh, he was in the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Let's see, Joseph Marcel.
Wait,
Oops.
that's the character or the actor? Just
That's the actor, Joseph Marcel,
oh
uh,
my
played
god,
Jeffrey.
Jesus,
Whoops. I
Jeffrey the butler from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Motherfucker! Oh my god, this is the biggest head smack in my face. I'm literally looking at that photo, trying to find this episode, and it's literally staring me right there in the face. It's Jeffrey. Oh.
Oops.
Yeah,
I
every time you show a picture and you're talking about the episode, I'm honestly looking up the episode guide for these just to see, just to find moments. And it's just literally right there in the face. Fucking Jeffrey. Jeffrey was in Doctor Who. Ugh. I mean, I honestly just like with Peter, just like with Davidson, Sylvester McCoy made no impression on me after 3 episodes. But the fact that God, he's right there. Oh my goodness. Anyone watching this, you can easily go in the comments and go, "How the hell did you not recognize Jeffrey?" Well, guess what? I just did not pay attention to Sylvester McCoy.
and also in your defense, not the best lighting in this image.
Even then, some of the little silver peppery in that hair should have been a giveaway for me as well. Maybe I don't know. Even if you played, I mean, clips. Probably playing clips would have helped. But God, oh
I,
my
I I wanted to play the clip and I just decided not to because of copyright stuff. But
no, I don't blame you. Yeah, you have to really look out, protect. Yeah.
I love that moment and I really wanted to play the clip and chose not to, which sucks.
Now I'm gonna look for
Oh,
that clip just so I can play that, just so it stays in my brain.
after we're done here, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, but wow, okay, that's very good. Just to see that the actor, he had knowing that before Fresh Prince, he did have himself a career, but oh my goodness, man.
Okay, moving on, we have another character that really helped a lot to boost the Seventh Doctor's uh, presence is Earl Sigma from the episode The Happiness Patrol.
Okay.
Not a very beloved episode, but again, I love his scene with the Seventh Doctor. He was basically just a blue player. I think he was either a harmonica or a saxophone player. But I mean, in a world where basically uh, you're not allowed to express yourself.
Yeah, through
Here's this
music.
guy. Just,
Yeah,
not what?
yeah, not allowed to express yourself in any forms. Yeah, like especially
Yeah,
through music.
and then there's this guy just standing in a random street corner playing. I think it's a harmonica, just playing a random harmonica for fun. And the Doctor walks out to him, likes the music, and he does the most Seventh Doctor thing ever. He pulls out his spoons and starts playing with them, and then they just these two guys playing this weird random music until the authorities show up. So yeah, it's a funny moment in a not so great episode, so episode.
Well, it
Uh,
shows a person, but it's like it's one thing of the person, but it shows a personality of McCoy's doctor, though, that he is someone who enjoys expression. And I mean, the fact that McCoy integrated magic into his version of the doctor definitely shows this is a guy that likes forms of expression through artistry.
Yeah, and the spoons thing is a real uh, Doctor Sylvester McCoy thing. He does that in real life. That's part of his act. He in when he was part of a traveling circus show. Now,
Very interesting.
I mean, he tells the story of how he got into acting. Basically, he was a sanitation worker on a traveling circus show,
Huh.
and one of the acts was sick or something, and so the ringmaster just walked up to him and was like, "You, what's your name? Sylvester. Good, you're up." And the guy he just threw the guy onto the stage, and he not knowing what to do, just pulled out his spoons, started playing, and the rest, as they say, is history. And now he's the Doctor.
Oh man, that's incredible. That's actually incredible, and that's definitely a good fun moment there. I think it's a good highlight of his doctor. Uh, so that's definitely. You know what? I mean, just even going through all of this, I am going to make more of an effort to rewatch some classic serials. I mean, it's I don't know. I forget when Shooty's Doctor episodes are going to start premiering. But there's plenty of time in
May,
between now. What?
I think it's May.
May? Okay, yeah, I got 3 months ahead of time to at least watch some serials. Maybe not all of every serial of the Doctor, but at least get to watch some.
Cool. Now, tell me, do you know who is how do you say Courtney Pine? You know who Courtney Pine is?
Oh man, that is ringing a bell.
Because apparently, at least at the time, he was a very famous jazz musician, and the guy who wrote Silver Nemesis just decided to put him in the episode, and he's a really big fan of the show, so of course he agreed to do it as himself, of course, playing himself.
Okay.
He was a jazz musician in the episode. Because again, this is the first time I've heard of this guy Courtney Pine, and yeah, I was really hoping you would know who he is, because I have no
look,
idea.
man, my history is not as knowledgeable as I'd like it to be. I only took maybe 2 classes of music in college. They didn't take.
All right, so. At least I'm feeling better by myself. I'm not the only one who never heard of this guy. And of course, speaking of ringmasters, as we already did, we gotta talk about the ringmaster himself from the episode "The Greatest Show in the Galaxy." The episode this whole show is named after, and this one I actually do have a clip, because I think I used it literally in the first ever episode of this show. Let me just yep, there it is. It's a bit long, so it's going to take a while to load, but I mean, he was the ringmaster of the Psychic Circus. And I kind of like this guy. He always shows up, and he always rhymes. He always sings, and he has this weird way of commanding presence
Okay.
in the ring whenever he talks. Like when this guy goes on stage and starts singing, you just can't help but to be immersed in what he's doing and to listen to him, and even manages to convince people to get off the stands and get on stage and do their act. And of course, if you know anything about the Psychic Circus, that's how they get you. But yeah, so he's got this like I said, he's got this very commanding presence about him, and I'm just waiting for the clip to load. I probably should have done this ahead of time.
Well,
But yeah, go ahead.
well, you didn't think we weren't sure exactly how long this was going to go.
Yeah. So okay, it finally finished. Here we go.
Now, welcome, folks. I mean it from the heart, because the greatest show is about to start. It's happening right here before your very eyes, and one thing's for sure, you're in for quite a surprise. But then nothing's quite as it seems to be at the greatest show in the galaxy. Now, welcome, folks. We got a brand new act. He's a real find, and no doubt that's a fact. He'll entertain you. He'll make you stare. And our great new act is seated over there.
Thank you, but
Come on, Doctor. Don't be shy.
well, I'm not really sure that I should.
Oh, no false modesty. We know you're good.
Well, this is most unexpected. Are you sure you want me?
There's no mistake, Doc. Come on in. Feel free.
Why, what harm would it do?
Exactly. But the decision's up to you.
No, Doctor!
And I one of the things I love about this scene is you can see how he's matching his rhymes to whatever the Doctor is saying. Like
Yeah.
that's I don't know if, of course, there's a script, but it could
But
also
the
be
way that the dialogue is going, though, you kind of feel as if they're staying on pace with each other.
yeah, and he does continue that on, and just on in the show itself, it looks like improv, but yeah, it's got, like I said, very commanding presence in the ring. Anything else you'd like to add on this character?
No, I mean, like I said, Sylvester laid no impression of me, so this first time I'm actually watching this. Kind of it's a good episode. Really helps establish himself like as a separate antagonist for the Doctor, at least during Sylvester McCoy's run.
Mm-hmm. It's a weird episode, but it's a good one. I'll say that. There's a reason I named the show after that episode. And the actor Rico Ross has a huge list of credits. He's got hold on.
Yeah. Okay, don't worry. I mean, at least at the time, 50, you can definitely pull up some of the credits while you have your roommate there and you're trying to calm him down. But you know what? Even then, with this character, like I did say earlier on, I'm going to make an effort to rewatch some more classic episodes. It'll just be more of like which starting points, like either start from the beginning. It could be just random stuff, honestly. And this episode, I'll at least put this down, at least on my list of some of Sylvester's episodes to watch.
Based on what you told me, I think it's best to just go choose a random one.
Okay. All right.
Now, credits-wise, he was in Hill Street Blues, Saving All My Love for You music video, Aliens, again, The Bill, Jeeves and Wooster, Gulliver's Travels. I wonder which version, because there's several.
There are several of those.
Highlander, Mission Impossible.
Oh, Highlander! I know he stands out now. He's one of the immortals Connor meets in New York who gets decapitated by the Kurgan.
Okay. Sit tight, because we've got some more.
Wait, what was that after Highlander? Mission Impossible? Okay.
Yes, I'm assuming it's the first one because there's no number attached to this credit.
Yeah, it's the first one because normally after every Mission Impossible, first it was numerical and then they just went with Mission Impossible : this subtitle.
Yeah. So you got Babylon 5, Beverly Hills 90210,
Okay.
ER, The Least Among You, Bite Me, Caper, The Story of Ava, and Opening Night. And looking further in the wiki, he's best known for playing Private Frost in Aliens, apparently.
Private Frost, okay. Definitely one of the Colonial Marines. I don't know where he stands out in there because obviously with the only characters I think of in that movie that stand out is Michael Biehn, and then the actress that plays not Sigourney Weaver. Damn, yeah, it's been a while since I've watched Aliens. I'll have to rewatch that to see where Private Frost is, at least where he fits.
I'm just adding a lot of stuff to your watch list again. So isn't it a great thing that we're finally on the last one? And I'm actually really glad that we're ending this off on this one because we finally have. I mean, we went from this to just look at the progression we made. We went from that to this. Brigadier Winifred Bambera, the replacement of Lethbridge Stewart in Unit.
Ah, okay.
We went from just a random pirate that gets killed off to basically the Brigadier's replacement. In the episode Battlefield, of course, the last episode we got to see the Brigadier on the Doctor Who TV show, if of course you don't count the Cybermen appearance or his one appearance on Sarah Jane Adventures. But she's the leader of Unit now, and I'll tell you something else. She still is the leader of Unit on Big Finish. They had a whole separate line of adventures with her, and they even brought back the original actress Angela Bruce, who's still playing the character.
Interesting. Very interesting. I like that.
So interestingly enough,
Are you still there?
Yeah. Why did I drop off?
No, I paused for a second on my end, so I wasn't sure if I or you froze. So I was just double checking to be sure.
It's okay. So yeah, trying to look up other credits for her, and all they have here is the multitude of Doctor Who roles that she had, Angela
Okay.
Bruce. So let's see if I can. There we go. She's also known for playing an alternative universe female version of Dave Lister in the Red Dwarf episode
Red
Parallel
Dwarf.
Universe, and Chrissy Stewart in the first 2 seasons of Press Gang, which was created by Stephen Moffat. It's interesting.
Interesting that Moffat didn't reach out to this actress to bring her back. For his era.
Yeah, it seems like that's something he would do.
Yeah, because not just with Kate Stewart, her character also would have made sense to be a part of UNIT.
Yeah. And I think in some of the later episodes of David Tennant era, it kind of looked like they wanted to establish a new leader of UNIT with Captain Arisa Magambo, who only showed up in 2 episodes. But you could have brought this character in, and it's someone that the Doctor already knew.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because at least having her, not just someone the Doctor already knew, but someone who encountered the Doctor before, and then even having her at least interact with Tennant, she would have been a great mainstay. And so then when Moffat did insert Kate Stewart would have someone from the military side to trust when it comes running with some of the operations. Not because obviously Kate is simply just a scientist who has military training, but with her character, at least you would have had someone who could command the military aspects of UNIT and have Kate lead the scientific division. They could be having a joint leadership amongst the 2 of them.
Yeah, I haven't actually listened to her Big Finish episodes, but having not listened to them, I can only assume, and this is just an assumption, I can only assume that the reason why she doesn't pop up as much is because those episodes are taking place in the 80s and 90s, because she's the leader of UNIT, and the
then with the decades regressing, her character may have been older, maybe kind of like with Brigadier, maybe decided to step aside,
and the main UNIT Big Finish line is focused on Kate Stewart, who has her own crew of UNIT people. There's and actually we talked about most of them in was it the last episode of I think it was the last episode of last year, where just 3 hours of me, Soda, and Snark just talking about which characters from all over Doctor Who we want to see come back. It's a fun one. I actually go back and rewatch it every once in a while, just because the craziness of the characters that we were able to think up. Characters from. Hold on.
Okay. It's just reminded me of my podcast partner with his cat. Had to pause in between times or even restart our recording sessions because his cat just wouldn't stop meowing.
Yeah. Pets just want to be part of the conversation, don't they?
Yes, they do. Well, they want the attention. They want to be near.
Yeah. They want to let you know that they're still around. So, we had characters from the classic series we wanted to see come back. We had characters from the modern series we felt like needed to have more attention. Characters from Big Finish, from the books, from the comics, from all over. But that is a story for another time.
Yeah.
So, we had an interesting episode today, minus a couple of whoopsies on my part. We had a really, really great start, just like the representation of people of color on the show. We had a really great start with some of these characters, and somehow it just kind of went downhill a bit
I think it's all about the direct. I mean, from what you've shown, you clearly do see like it was a change in direction. Because clearly, with the ones you brought up regarding Davison to and to McCoy,
it's the change of a showrunner.
Yeah, the change of a showrunner and probably in the ways how they changed the casting process. Sure, there was like you brought up, there was a few like small bright spots, but beyond then, like it was kind of like, I mean, the fact that Davison and McCoy made no impression on me gave me no interest in looking back at their serials outside of their regeneration episodes. Well, Colin Baker technically really never had one, but beyond then, you do see that, we do everything slowly did change when it came with casting process, story writing, and scripting and impact. Even though when we talk about the modern era, even though we do have more inclusion, there's still a little bit of like the impact, or at least the progression of, at least our biggest negatives were just character use and direction.
Mm-hmm. And at least by the time the show, the classic series ended, it seemed like we were going down a good direction with some of these characters to where we are right now, which we have two people of color playing the Doctor. And you know what? Both of them are great, and both of them are fan favorites with very limited screen time. So I think Doctor Who is going in a much brighter direction in years to come. And,
I do agree.
And thankfully, the BBC is not around to meddle with these such things.
Well, at least until they can address some of their other leaning issues. Hopefully, it doesn't. Hopefully, it does not affect the direction that's happening now with the new turn of Doctor Who.
Yeah, and we're already kind of noticing some issues there, but we're not really here to talk about that bit of drama. We're here to talk about the good side of Doctor Who. And on that note, Mr. Ryan, where can the good people of the interwebs find you?
Well, currently, right now, if anyone out there watching this, other than being a Doctor Who fan, if you're also a fan of the professional sport wrestling, and yes, I say professional sport, even though it's predetermined. If you're a big fan of wrestling, I have a podcast that is mainly available on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. It's called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast. Just look for it under the Shimo Media Network. We have all of our old episodes available if you wanted to check it out. I co-host that with my friends James Shimo, Brenton McPherson, who shows up from time to time. But we are currently putting out some brand new episodes. It's February. It's February now. At the time of this recording, so we already have at least, at this time of this recording, we have at least 7 to 8 episodes available, with more coming down the road. We did our own episodes of. We do like list counting episodes. We do episodes on news topics, or sometimes, and currently we are going to be testing how we do some of our own fantasy booking style episodes. Most recently, my friend Shimo, my friend James, he did an episode on how he would book Cody finishing his story at WrestleMania, and depending on how the current storyline with happening currently right now is going, all the way building up to WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes, The Rock, and Reigns. Let's see how you can always find that episode and see how if you enjoyed James' version. And coming up soon, I did my own fantasy booking episode on not WWE, but on the other side of the coin of AEW, on booking a faction, the Dark Order, how I would book them as a top faction as heels.
They're heels!
Heels, I tell you!
And as for me, you can find me every week, hopefully on Mondays, doing this show, The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, where we talk about the greatest show in the galaxy, Doctor Who, and every Thursday with my good buddy Soda on Fun with Flags, where we teach each other about each other's respective countries. And you also can check out all the other wonderful channels from the wider Benverse at large, whatever of it is still left going, like Something to Talk About, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geekdom, Movie Lovers Unite, The Midnight Cinema, A-Town Reviews, and of course in the front row, which is still not pictured in this old thumbnail. And we're gonna come back and circle around to this topic next week, where we talk about some I'm still not 100% sure what to call it, but supporting characters of color, not on the TV show itself. I guess that's one way of saying it. Just gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna put that into a title. But that's I've still got a couple of days to work that out. But yeah, this has been us, and thank you for watching if you have. And until the next time, everybody, in the words of Missy herself,
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
goodbye.